Hi, I'm Dr. Gail Randall, and I'm here to do my Instagram TV on Friday night. So if you're joining me, you're my date. So anyway, tonight we're going to talk about the subject of colorful healing. So mostly, if you've been following me, you know I talk about things and give lots of scientific facts, usually about health or other issues like that, or sometimes the planet. But tonight we're going to get more into ancient medicine and colorful healing is what I call it. I'm also known as the soul doctor, which I never really explained to you. Why am I known as the soul doctor? Because I have a very unique approach where I treat people, I approach people in a holistic fashion, and I am a board-certified internist, gastroenterologist, so I do know a lot of science, but also in addition to that, I always felt like there was something more. And so I started before I even started medical school, I was spending much time with Native Americans, and that led me to want to know more and more. And one of the things was, of course, color. And I'll tell you how that came about. But so I'm versed in 20 different disciplines, 20. And so as a soul doctor, I not only address the body, I address the mind, the emotions, and the spirit, but also the soul, using a plethora of different modalities, which I found whenever we do this, we did the first studies at UCLA where we included other modalities to Western medicine, and we found that every single time, of course, the outcome was better. So I never feel like I know enough, and if something is worth, while me studying it and incorporating it into my discipline, I will. But I do have at least 20. So I'm an advanced healer in aurosoma, in pranic healing, which is an energy type healing, not unsimilar to Reiki, although we use color, and crystals. And all of those disciplines, aurosoma, pranic healing, and crystals, use color. So I really find that it's extremely effective, and I combine it often with acupuncture. Thanks for the hearts. So, color therapy is as old as civilization itself. Some people say they used it in Atlantis. If you believe in Atlantis, that diseases were treated with color and light. Ancient Egyptians certainly used color and practiced color healing. The chambers of ancient Greek healing temples were infused with color, excuse me, for treatment of different conditions. Ancient Chinese medicine, which I've also studied, uses color to treat various illnesses. For instance, violet for seizures or nervous system issues or brain issues, and yellow for digestive issues or abdominal cramps, which kind of makes sense if you're familiar with the chakra system. Violet's up here, and of course yellow is here. So it's opposite the chakra, which would make sense for that treatment. So chakras are a real deal. Everybody thought that was a woo-woo thing when I was going to medical school, but they date back to as far as 1500 or 500 BC from texts known as the Vedas, which is, of course, Ayurveda, which way preceded our Western medicine and has a lot of great knowledge, which I've also studied. So it's old, okay? So color, we've known for a long time, works. Now we know more scientifically what it is, so we'll talk about that too. There was a guy named Peter Mendel in 1984 that found if you apply color to acupuncture points, that it actually is effective. He went around the world and taught people this system because it was so incredibly effective. I didn't know about Peter when I started adding aurosoma to my acupuncture and found it to be so effective. Aurosoma is a whole discipline, which is a combination of fluids that was basically channeled in by a woman named Vicki Wall. And she channeled it in after she lost her eyesight. And she is a nurse. And if you remember back, you may not remember this, or you might have seen pictures or old movies where the old pharmacies, the apothecaries, would have these large jars or beautiful crystals full of colored fluid. Those were real things then. Now they're for decoration. But so back then, and so I think maybe that's part of what inspired her, but she got her teachings in the dream time. And she got all the colors passed down to her, and then she got a mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical teaching for each color, which is really pretty interesting because I began to dream colors not knowing about Vicki Wall, not knowing about Peter Mendel, when Hale-Bopp, remember Hale-Bopp the comet? When Hale-Bopp the comet was coming and going by our planet, I began to get this whole series of color dreams. And so I would get a color, say red, and then I would get the spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental meaning for that color. And it was like a TV series. Every night I would go to sleep, tune in, and it would be a different color. And it kind of passed through all the chakra system. And I was, telling these dreams at my dream circle, which is a women's group that I have, and hopefully we'll get started again now that, hopefully COVID is a little bit better. And one of my dreaming women said, you really need to go see Jennifer at a store called Healing Waters on Orlando. I said, oh, okay. And so I went in there, and this nymph-like lady, I don't know if you know this, but some people whose eyes kind of cross a little bit like this, they're known to have inner sight. So this nymph-like lady with inner sight approached me, and she said, can I help you? And I was just mesmerized because I saw all these bottles of these colored fluids against this lighted wall, and it was what I had dreamt. And I walked over to the wall, and I go, let me just see this for a minute. And I pulled down the red, I pulled down the orange, I pulled down the yellow, I pulled down the green, I pulled down the blue, I pulled down the indigo, and I pulled down the violet, and then I pulled down the magenta. Now, that's no chakra system that most people know about, but this is what I had dreamt and what I was taught in my dream. She goes, oh, you must have studied this before. And I said, no, I haven't studied this. She goes, how did you know to pull those bottles down? I said, oh, I dreamt it. And I told her my story, that I had gotten the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical teaching for each color. She goes, oh. She goes, that's how Vicki Wall did it. And she goes, she must be your teacher. So that was how that all started. So I went to school, and I studied Aurosoma with a man named Fred Thompson, who was very advanced in color healing and sounding and a lot of other things. And he taught me, and he made me an advanced Aurosoma healer, in addition to the teachings I got in my dream. So I've been using them ever since, and they're very powerful. Look it up, Aurasoma, Aurosoma. And they're a mixture of the most high vibrational essences, because they're flower parts, mostly flower petals, and gemstones is what makes up this high vibrational essence. And it's just amazing. It's more complex than that, but I'm not going to be able to teach you all about pranic healing, Aurosoma, and crystals in one session, but I can teach you the basis of color healing and just a few things about it to give you something that you can hang on to, maybe look up, and maybe even use. So, so after I learned Aurosoma, I did go on to learn pranic healing, and then you use colors in pranic healing too. For instance, you use orange to break through congestion. If someone has an injury, say, or someone has maybe they have gut problems, and they have congested phlegm, which is what we call it in Chinese medicine. You use the orange color to break through, and then you you cleanse, and then you heal with electric violet, and then you clean your own hands with green fire, and then you repeat until the patient begins to feel better. I find that if you include acupuncture needles with that, it quickens the healing, and it works like so much better. So how and why do specific colors inspire us in different ways? You know, why are you attracted to certain colors? How can colors work for us inside and out? And you know, what is it all about? Well, light is a waveform. So it has to do with frequency and waveform. So if, for instance, there's a color spectrum, and it goes from red to violet. So just like the chakras going from red to violet, as do the color spectrum. Interesting, right? Outside the color spectrum, so beyond the red, is infrared, which is pretty popular now because a lot of people like to do infrared saunas, which is very cleansing, which is very interesting too. And these new red lasers that people use to heal injuries or other things. So that's all part of the same color spectrum. And on the other end is the violet, and then when you go beyond that, you get into invisible, but it's ultraviolet. So you kind of want to avoid too much ultraviolet, because even though it creates vitamin D in our bodies, it's you know, we have to be careful so we don't get skin cancer or melanoma or things like that. So, but light is energy. Light is electromagnetic energy. And electromagnetic energy travels in waves, which are basically disturbances in the regular magnetic field, but it's also you know, healing. It comes in packages called photons, and we perceive them in different ways. Interestingly enough, white light has all the colors. So, and you would know this if you've ever seen rainbows on your floor that's shining through your window, or you use a prism. You can separate that white light into the various colors, into the various waveforms. So the visible spectrum goes from 380 to 780 nanometers. And as I mentioned, outside of that is invisible light in the form of energy. Sometimes all the colors come together. Oh, I just want to tell a little story. Whenever I danced, I danced in 4 Sundance ceremonies, and it was the hottest, clearest, cloudless sky that you've ever seen, because it's in the middle of July that we do it, and so it's quite hot, and it's in silence, and you dance back and forth to the tree of life. Back and forth. You never turn your back to her. You just dance back and forth like that. And always, sometime in the middle of the Sundance, when everybody's about to collapse, comes this cold rain. Cold rain. These clouds form over the mountains, and it's like magic. It's like our energy brought these clouds. This rain comes down, and it's almost ice cold, and it hits your body, and after it wakes up your chi, you look up, and you can't believe your eyes, because what forms above the Sundance Corral is circular, and what will form is a circular rainbow. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that, but a circular rainbow is amazing. And it's not a circle around the sun. I'm talking a circular rainbow right above the Sundance Corral. So it's our gift. It was our gift, and also our reminder that we're really represent all people, all creeds, all colors, all religions, all genders, and that we are to come together as one people. And the rainbow, the circular rainbow, was a gift for our sacrifice. And it was incredible. You know, talk about raising your consciousness. So, in 1988, like I said, when Halebach was coming, that's when I got my teachings. And I was shown how and why color was right for different things. And they were shown to me in order of the classic Indian or Vedic chakra system that I mentioned before. Because the chakra system is as old as the Vedic novel, the Vedic books, texts. So in Vedic, Muladhara is the base or root chakra, which is red, right? Swadhisthana is the sacral center to the umbilicus, which is orange. So let me just elaborate a little bit on these colors. The red is also your connection with the earth. So if you want to connect with the earth, take your shoes off, let your bare feet touch the grass or touch the ground, and imagine your energy going down deep into the earth, into the roots, where you see the roots of the earth, and connect with her and see the red, the goodness. Red also stands for goodness. The red of the planet, the energy coming up through the bottoms of your feet to your root chakra. That is the red. Then the next chakra is orange. It represents your ancestral realm. So when you see those big orange sunsets, what we call, red sky in the Midwest, but it really was orange, that's your ancestors smiling on you. But it's also your digestion and how you integrate information, how you integrate food, and your digestive tract. So the other part of your digestive tract, if you go higher to your solar plexus, is yellow. And that's also about integrative information, but it's also about your upper digestive tract. And yellow is also about joy. Joy and happiness and letting go and being imbued with the light of the sun or the wisdom of the Father. The next color is the Anahat, the heart, which is green. So if you have had a heart issue, maybe something broke your heart, or maybe you have an actual heart issue, visualize green in your heart. Beautiful, and you want to visualize these colors as translucent. You don't want them to be cloudy, and you want that green to be like the fresh rained spring grass coming up. Just as fresh and green as our Mother Earth. And it's very healing for the heart. It's very healing for any part of your body, actually. Green is the most healing color. It's the middle of the rainbow. It's the most balancing color. So if you've lost your balance, either mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, visualize the color green to bring back your balance. And visualize the color green in your heart for emotional issues. The next one is blue, or in Vedic talk, it's Vishuddha, and it's blue, and it's about, and I wore mostly blue today for several reasons. First, my passion for our Mother Earth, this blue-green marble in space that gives us a home to live on, and all the animals and plants and things, and my passion to help her recover from what we've done to her. So that's one reason I wore this color. It's also the color of peace. The peace that passeth all understanding. And it's also the color of truth. The blue. And the blue represents the neck and the voice and speaking the truth. And if you've had thyroid problems, it's a good thing to visualize blue in your neck. Or the other thing is if you have a problem with connecting the up above with the down below, or your mind and heart. Some people cut it off here and spend too much time in their head and ruminate and things like that. Blue is a good color to connect you, to connect your up above to your down below. The next one is Anja, which is your third eye, and that's indigo. And it helps you with inner sight, with intuition, with your psychic nature. And, you know, they said it's very good for people with ADHD, or you've maybe heard the term indigo children. And they're really incredibly intelligent, but they need special types of therapy. The next one is the Sahasrara, and it's your crown, or the 1,000-petaled lotus that lives at the top of your head. This is also your Bakui point in Chinese medicine, where all of your meridians come together, and it's violet. This beautiful violet, and it's good for brain problems, for nervous system problems, for seizures, and for spiritual connection. So if you want to connect spiritually, you want to use the violet color. And then in the Aurasoma discipline, there is another chakra, which requires connection of that spirit, your spirit, with the divine. And if you connect your spirit with the divine, it's magenta. It's beautiful, clear, translucent magenta. And if you think about it, if you circle that energy back around to your feet, the violet with the red makes magenta. So the way to light up your chakras is start with the red, go to the orange, go to the yellow, go to the green, go to the blue, go to the indigo, violet, magenta, and then circle. Or you could go the other way. Depends on what you're trying to bring something in or send something out. So color is beautiful. It's wonderful for healing. And I love using the magenta. I was also shown a new chakra system, but I don't really want to get into it right now, which are the colors in between the rainbow. So if you think of the red, and you think of the orange, and you think of the yellow, you know, there's red-orange, and there's orange-yellow, and there's yellow-green, chartreuse, and there's green-blue, and there's blue-green, and there's blue indigo, and there's indigo violet, and there's violet magenta. So the colors in between are therapeutic too, but that's a little more advanced. That is included in Aurasoma therapy too, so if you want to look that up and get the book by Vicki Wall, she goes into that. So I want to go into a little bit of what the colors mean. I did a little bit, but I want to, you know, go into that a little bit further, dive deeper. So red is a primary vibration, as I said before. Those are the original rainbow colors. So in addition to what I mentioned, the goodness and the connection with the earth and the root chakra and all of those things, there's like the Shawl of Goodness, which is red, and you wear it. You maybe see Native Americans wearing a red shawl. It's about nourishment and goodness. In a mental sense, it's very useful for fatigue. So some of my patients come in and they do complain a lot about fatigue. So imagine yourself wearing a red shawl, and that might help your fatigue or burnout. Also bringing the red up from the earth to your root chakra may increase your chi. On an emotional level, it's very nourishing for the emotions. It imparts self-confidence and nurturing in the sense of the mother, either to you or to allow you to give to others. I was shown a person in a shawl made of red, and I was told that we should, wear such a shawl and do the grounding technique with it for the most goodness. The physical for the red is good for circulatory problems, and particularly on the extremities. If you have like inflammation or something like that, you really don't want to use the red. Like if you have a wound in your leg or something, red would not be the choice. But it is good for cold syndromes, for instance, hypothyroidism. It helps regenerate skin problems below the waist that are atrophic. In other words, your skin is thin and not growing well. So the red is good for that, but it's not good for an inflammatory wound. It's good for blood stagnation or circulatory problems. The spiritual meaning of red or use for red, it helps to support our spirits to access our authentic selves. We're all on that journey, aren't we? It's good for grounding spiritual energy, and it's good from the red soil. The natives say, walk the good red road, and what they mean by that is the north-south road. The north is spirit, the south is emotions or the heart, and that's the good red road. And that's the road that we as Westerners or white people often forget about, because we're so involved with our west-east road, which is our physical and our mental, or accumulating things and thinking about stuff, that is just kind of self-serving, I guess. And so I think it's time for us to move out of the east-west road and move to the north-south road. It has been time for a long time, but so that's how you do it. And you imagine the north, which is white, and the south, which is red, and just imagine walking that good red road. It also means doing what you're supposed to be doing, walking the good red road. So when you get to orange, it's about wisdom and compassion, as well as ancestral, as I mentioned before, as well as the hara space here, the lower digestive tract. The mental meaning for orange is to treat mental instability due to stress or trauma. Also helps treat mental exhaustion or depression, particularly if it's secondary to a traumatic experience. Treatment of PTSD for the emotional, and to help us rid ourselves of excess emotional baggage. The physical meaning for orange is good for any kind of physical trauma or shock. So any, like if you were in an accident or something, a motor vehicle accident, it's very good to use the orange. It cleans out stuff, as I mentioned in the beginning, with pranic therapy or healing. We use the orange to cleanse or penetrate a phlegmy area to take out the wound. It's effective for tense muscles anywhere in your body, and it helps stimulate decreased function of the large intestine and kidneys, such as constipation or decreased kidney function. It's also not really good for inflammation, so be wary of that. It's good for hypothyroidism or any kind of decreased endocrine function. The spiritual meaning for orange is cleansing and protection of the etheric body, as I kind of alluded to before. It helps open access to the ancestral realm in order to download information, which is ours already, but it helps us to open up and hear that information from the ancestors. Think about those big orange sunsets. Think about the ancestors and allow the information to come in. It allows the wisdom of the ages, of the ancestors, to enter and merge with your knowingness. Okay, yellow, the primary vibration, is also a primary vibration. And the main meaning is yellow expansion and awareness. Awareness. So even though it's here in the middle of your body, it's about awareness. And it's also, as I said, about joy. So the integration of information and evolution of thought, mental clarity, greater awareness, and illumination. It's great for seeing the big picture. So if you can't see the forest for the tree, meditate on yellow and raise your awareness so that you can become more clear about what's really going on. Help to break through the old mental constructs or thoughts that are no longer serving us. That's what yellow's for. I'll say that again, because we all have that. If we have old mental constructs that are no longer serving us, yellow is a good color to use or meditate upon. The physical meaning for yellow is it's good for all addictions. It stimulates the lymph system and lymph drainage. It's good for digestive disorders, particularly liver problems and pancreatic insufficiency. That's interesting, isn't it? Because the pancreas is right in this area where the yellow chakra is. If the skin problem is inflammatory or red, use green or blue first, then yellow. And yellow also helps your immune system. Green, as I said, I just love green. It has to do with harmony and balance and the earth. It's the most healing color. It's about manifestation and physical balance. The mental is about assisting in decision making, because especially in matters of the heart, and it's useful for matters of requiring diplomacy and resolving conflict. So if you are dealing with negotiation, maybe green is good color to use. Emotional, it helps in harnessing and emotional and mental aspects of any problem. It balances the heart chakra and it relieves emotional pain and angst in any cause. In physical treatment of all lung and heart problems especially, but any wound can be treated with green. It's excellent for balancing and treatment of any physical problem. Spiritually, green makes room for abundance and matters of spirit. It also opens you up to receive abundance if you deserve that. It assists with the communication with the plant beings and attuning to the healing vibration carried within specific plant medicine. So meditating on green when doing herbology is a great thing to do. Deep blue, the primary vibration is peace and balance, as I kind of alluded to before. Blue is peace. It's very calming. It shines the truth into any situation. It's great for treatment of anxiety and irrational fear or phobia, such as agoraphobia or fear of open spaces. A lot of people fear their own disease, and blue is a good color to meditate upon for that. Don't give the disease power. Don't give the disease power by calling it. Meditate on blue. Feel the spiritual cleansing and the truth. The truth can bring peace to any situation. The truth can bring peace to irrational fears. So emotional, it balances, again, the matters of the heart with the mind. So again, I mentioned that before, the connection. And it helps bring peace to the mind and soothes the troubled emotions, like watching a smooth blue pool of water. Physically, it increases kidney strength. Treatment of inflammatory disorders, blue is perfect for treating inflammatory disorders, blue and green together, and infections and endocrine disorders. It works with emotional problems such as hyperthyroidism, depleted adrenals, and hypothalamus. Cools and treats heat syndromes, associated with inflammation and hot flashes. It also cools and treats throat symptoms of any type and helps to treat and heal problems with communication or speech or even a lack of confidence in speaking. So when I first started speaking publicly, I would meditate on blue here so that I could speak with confidence and speak with the truth. When I'm speaking the truth, I'm always much more confident and I can speak better than any other way. Indigo is about focus, and it's about, again, inner focus as well. It enhances concentration, it enhances intuition, it enhances your ability to be more psychic and receive information from the one mind. So if you open your third eye and you meditate on that indigo color, you get information from that one mind, you know, that it's there for us all, and if we practice our ability to receive it, we can. And I used to teach intuition to medical students in school, and it was so amazing because after a few days, I would be able to give them something, let's say a stone inside of a little bag, and they could hold it. I'd say, tell me something about that, and they would get it. They would get the color or the texture or something, or the vibration. Very powerful. Very powerful. So indigo is also good for sociopathic behaviors, ADD, ADHD, mental problems, oppositional disorders, and bipolar disorder. So it can be improved by this color. Emotionally, it can help establish deep inner peace after an emotional upset or trauma. It's also good for depression if it's used in conjunction with other colors like bright yellow that bring joy and happiness. Indigo can open up our sight, our inner sight, as I mentioned. And it's a beautiful way to do it. Anybody can do it. Physically, it's good for restlessness, or that monkey mind that we get where we ruminate thoughts over and over again. It's also good, interesting enough, which is a hard thing to treat, is restless leg syndrome. So if you have someone with restless leg syndrome, or you have it, meditate on indigo and see what you can do. Spiritually, again, it's good for inner sight, to enhance psychic abilities, as I mentioned, intuition. And it can also enhance powerful dreams. Violet is the most spiritual color. So if you want to connect with spirit, meditate on violet. See that crown chakra lighting up. Whenever you meditate on the colors, see that part of your body light up that is associated with that chakra. Violet is also good, like I said, for brain function. It helps discriminate real stuff from falsehood. It helps move through the old patterns of thinking, through viewing the higher purpose of things. Treatment of self-defeating or destructive behavior is good with violet. Emotionally, violet is good for things like divorce or painful separation. Physically, it's good for tension migraines or neurologic disorders, as I mentioned before, and also just for your spiritual energy, for magnifying your spiritual energy. And then magenta is that chakra, again, that forms when we go from violet to my God connects with the God. So God within connects with God, and it forms that magenta chakra, and it's divine love and compassion. It promotes patience and calms not only you, but anyone around you. It is excellent for depression resulting from loneliness, because when you're with God, you're never alone. You never walk alone. Physically, it's good in conjunction with any other color to enhance or magnify the treatment. And spiritually, it's like actually is the most spiritual color because it involves the connection with God, or the energy of God, or the divine. So it stimulates inspiration and creativity. So if you're a writer or an artist, or even trying to get through your medical books and you need inspiration, meditate on magenta and connect with the God above, the God within you to the God above, and inspiration will come. So that's my sort of brief teachings about color, but that's useful. You can use those. If you want to go further, you can look up Vicki Wall's Aurosoma. There are lots of books on color, on chakras, and the teachings are all pretty similar, but they may vary a little bit, but I think you'll find they're basically the same. Okay. Many rainbows and lots of hearts to you guys. I love you. And don't forget to use color, because we're all made of color. We're all different colors, and we're all part of the same rainbow. And what it's really about is that rainbow coming together. So every single color, every single creed, no matter gender, no matter age, no matter who we are or what color we are, that we're all one rainbow, one mind. I love you. And next week, I won't see you because I'm traveling. But I will be sending some posts. So look for those. Okay. Does everybody have any questions before we go? Thank you for the hearts. So this shirt, again, I wore because it's representative of the blue, which is speaking the truth, which is peace. And it also, a couple of my patients asked me to wear this outfit. And it also represents the blue marble in space, which I'm so passionate about, our Mother Earth. So honor the earth and remember the rainbow, because we're all part of the same rainbow. Love you guys. Bye-bye.